All right, well, welcome to our Tuesday night team call, and I am so excited tonight that we have Jackie Day, who's going to be doing our training for us, and thank you guys so much for attending live, and also if you are watching the recording, for taking the time out of your day to do that as well. So, I had said that I needed help on these calls. I believe I've done just about every single one of them since the beginning of the year. So I'm getting on the tired side and need a break. So thank you so much for doing this, and for all of those others who have already signed up. And then also, there have been a great number of you who have stepped up and been leading a week of our challenge groups. And I think that's great. I love sharing the load. And I think probably you guys feel the same, where it's really nice to have a week where you're in charge and then be able to breathe a little bit, you know, and just be the participant. That is really nice. And then get everybody else's flavor. So, you know, it's funny how even the same post, you know, if we've all got the same post, somehow it comes across different when other people post it, and you see things differently and answer things differently. So I think that's pretty cool too. And of course, always feel free to make things your own as well. But I'm super excited, at least in this last May group. I think the activity from our participants has been a little bit better since we've been doing the little weekly challenge. I don't know if that's what's made the difference or not, but it seems to be going well. So I figure we'll just keep going with that and see how it goes. So let's see. Recognition. Before I forget, Jackie, not only is it her first month of hitting Success Club, she's got 8 points so far this month, and it's only halfway through the month. Crazy. I know, that's awesome. And I'm super, super excited for you, and that I hope that your confidence is growing as it should from that, because you've been a rock star from the beginning, and now things are starting to match up and connect. So that's really cool to see that happen. And then we, of course, have lots and lots of things coming up, which most of you already know about, but Super Saturday, and Super Saturday on July the 25th. So make sure that that is on your calendar and a priority, and find a place where you are going to get plugged in. And if you've got any questions, of course, reach out to me, and we'll make sure that you find a place to attend a Super Saturday. So also, just to put a plug out there for this, I have started posting the Team Sparta newsletters on our team page. So be on the lookout for that. You know, it hasn't dawned on me to see how often she's sending them. I can't remember. I don't know if she's told me if it's a weekly basis or every other week or whatever, but as soon as one of those comes my way, I'm going to post it on our team page. We are part of the larger Team Sparta, which is Julie Voris's team, and you also can be on the Team Sparta Facebook page. As a general rule, I don't add people, new coaches, to that Facebook page right away, because it's overwhelming enough being on the different pages as it is. But as you get comfortable, you get into your groove, and you want to be a participant on that page, just shoot me a message and I will add you real quick. There are thousands of people on that group page. So it's a great place to go and just see what's going on, see what other recognition there is on our larger team, and get some ideas. You can throw things out there and that sort of thing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hush and turn it over to Jackie, and I will double check and make sure that everybody else is muted. Yep, I think you're good to go. Okay, Jackie, let's see. Can you unmute yourself?
Hi.
Hey, we can hear you. You're good to go.
Okay. I project a lot, so we'll see what happens. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share. There we go. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yep.
That's right. I made a PowerPoint because that's how I roll. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. So social styles. So what are social styles? So there are 4 different types of social styles. So if you did the social styles test right in the very beginning that I posted, you might be curious to find out what your style is. So again, I have objectives because in my career, I do this for a living. I'm a learning and development specialist, so I always have to have objectives. So really, I wanted to just talk really briefly about understanding our social styles and why we react to others in predictable ways, and why we use behaviors which help other people, and how we use our behaviors to make other people feel more comfortable, and recognizing the importance of being versatile and dealing with customers, coaches, and other team members, as well as anticipating behaviors and learning how to avoid mistakes and dealing with them. So I think this is key in developing relationships with people, and that's why I kind of wanted to take the time to talk about it. So if you have your social style self-assessment and you tallied up your information, your column 1 will go into the top left corner, column 2 will be in the bottom left, column 3, bottom right, column 4, top right. There we go. So while you're kind of filling that out, I'll give you a little bit of insight about it. So when we're talking about an ask versus tell mentality, we're saying, are you more assertive? Are you more on the tell side, like you just want to tell people what to do to get it done? Or are you more of an asking person? Like, do you want to ask people what to do? So some of the key things about being that low assertiveness versus high assertiveness, and you can tell by kind of pace of speech. So for me, you can probably already tell with my pace of speech is on the higher side, right? So already you can probably think that I'm going to be on this tell side because I'm already like, blah, 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 right? So also you can see about more eye contact, hand motions, like I'm very much on that tell side. Then we have this up and down portfolio, or this up and down axis, and that's kind of like your control versus your emotes is very similar to your responsiveness. Are you more of a guarded person, or are you more of an open person? So if you're a guarded person, you're closer to the top, and you kind of like to be in more control of things. If you're on the emotes part, you're more open and more responsive, and you're very people orientated. So if you can tell it all, I'm definitely on the emote side as well. So I am a very much tell emote person, and that corresponds with, oh, hold on, let's see, here we go, expressive. I am an expressive. So depending on where you fall, you might see that you might have a strong category in one, and then you might have a weaker category, or you might be evenly split amongst them, which is fine because it just shows that you might have a little bit of everything. So me being an expressive person, I actually have a secondary, which is more on the analytical side. So I have learned over time, since I've been very self-aware of my expressive nature, to kind of gravitate towards that analytical side of me so that I can relate to people on that level. And it's a way to check myself to make sure that I'm on the same page and I'm not overwhelming people with my expressive nature. So I know I kind of like talked about what these things are, and did everybody get a chance to figure out what they are? Nods, yes, no, yeah? No, Dina, you didn't do the self-assessment? No. Which one do you think you are? Do you think you know what you are? Not at all. So with that being said, we can talk a little bit more about what that means. So when you are an analytical person, and if you're more of a controlling person and you're an ask person, analytical people are all like, do it right or not at all. And they want to know how, they like to plan. They're people that like to like sit back and be like, hey, what's going on? And if you want a response from an analytical person, like right now, it's not gonna happen. I had a boss that's an analytical person where, and me being expressive, I'm like, I can't. And so for me, it was really challenging to be able to communicate with them because I couldn't stand the silence. Amiable people are very people-orientated people. They're also don't like, they ask more than anything. So they're always like, we're great. And then they're also the people that kind of want to know the why and the who's involved, and they like to plan more. So they're more of the people that are relationship focused and the people that really want to let everyone be friends. Then there's me. Let's all do it. Let's just go. Let's go right now. I am very energetic and optimistic and wants to know who else is involved, what else is going on, what else can we do. Driver personality, Tracy, just do it. Wants to know what and when and like to take charge and just get things done. So that's kind of like, these are just kind of like the behaviors of people, but just knowing a little bit about that sometimes just isn't enough, right? So we need to know a little bit more. We need to also know how to adapt to these different social styles. So with knowing this information, just this brief information about what social styles are there ways that we can adapt to other people? How can we flex? And that's what I call it. I call it flexing. So what it means is that now that if you do this assessment and you know what you are, you can kind of take the steps to figure out who other people are through their behaviors and find a way to best communicate with them. So me being an expressive, if I were to talk to an amiable person, I probably wouldn't have so many hand gestures and in their face. The same with email communications can be said the same way. There are different things that you can do when speaking to your customers that you can kind of figure out who they are and adapt so that they're more responsive to you, if that makes sense. So what does that mean as well? So how is it like to talk with an analytical? So when we communicate with an analytical, they really like to know all the facts. They want to know how the past, the present, and the future all connect. They like to know the facts. They like to focus on the details and the accuracy. They're logical and well organized, and they want to know exactly what you will do and when. Like there's no guesswork here. They really want to know all the information. However, with them wanting to know all the information, if you were to ask them a question, they again still need that time to ponder. Okay? So you need to stress the analytical can be assured of being right. So they are kind of the people that like to be right and they like to have all the information. Again, these can be seen as good or bad things, and I could talk about the good and the bad and the ugly of all of them, but we won't focus on that. When we talk about communicating with the driver, they like to focus on the present. They want to be brief and efficient, and they want to get to the bottom line of it. So they speak in terms of short, concrete results, and they want to know options. Hey, what about this? What about that? They also want to feel like in control. They want to have all the information and be able to make the decision. And with them, they want to see the win. They want to see what the win is in their proposition. Okay? And I'll share this PowerPoint with everyone after too. So communicating with an expressive focuses on the future, illustrates concepts with stories, seeks ideas and input, show personal interest and involvement. They like to stimulate their creative impulse, and they love it when you compliment them. Stress how the expressive can stand out from the others. So if you've gotten to know me at all, yes, this is me. I own every part of my expressiveness. Okay. And then lastly, communicating with an amiable person. So they might focus more on tradition. You need to be more flexible with them. It has to be easy and informal, and it can't be just rush. They need time to be able to feel good about the situation that they're going into, and they really like the idea of a team approach, and they like the idea that they're also in like a safe environment. Okay? So I know I've thrown a lot of information at you. So how do we determine these styles in other people? So I'll share this. Oh, can you see this one? Can you see my Word document? No? Okay, hold on. Share a new window. How about now?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'll share this with others too. But really it gives you some key points about how you can talk with other people, or how you can associate with other people. So if you're speaking to a certain person, you can kind of get who they are by some of the things that they say or do. So an analytical, if you see, they're an I think person. A driver is I will do this. An expressive, I want. An amiable, I feel. So those are just some things about talking style. There's body language if you're doing any face-to-face. But you can also look, and I think this might be some of the key things that I think would be important are the communication style as well as email style. So based on those ones, especially for what we do, if we're not face-to-face with clients on a daily basis and we're focusing on communicating with them through just email or just picking up on that communication, you can help identify who they are as a person. So an analytical, in their communication style, like I said, they're very specific and concise. They're clear, logical, formal, bottom line, maybe appear unresponsive, reserved, and cautious, can appear preoccupied, right? The same can go with their listening pattern. You think they're listening, but they might not be listening. But they actually are. Work style might not be as applicable, but in email style, they might be slow to respond, often for more information or for some clarity. Usually use short or no greeting closings other than names, so they could just be like, Tracy, blah, 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 John, right? Prefer to speak of specifics rather than to brainstorm ideas, and they're more, like I said, the ask versus tell. So the same thing can be said with all of the other styles. So again, I'm not going to take a ton of time. I know I've talked really quickly because I didn't know how fast a half hour would go. But with the driver, so with the driver, they talk about an I will. So they're like, I will do this, right? So when we go to their communication style, they're very direct and to the point. They can often be seen as outspoken, formal, businesslike, can be reserved and cautious, and sometimes they might be preoccupied. So you might think that you're talking to them and they're doing something else over here, but actually they are engaged. With their email style, they often use, again, they could be short or no greetings or closings. Get to the point, it's just more of a, again, tell more than ask. So they'll be like, and so they might be more in their email to you, hi, how are you, maybe, or they just mean, hi, I was hoping that you would be able to do this. But then again, it's not I was hoping, they might be, can you do this? Because they're more of a tell person than an ask person. Okay? Then you could have identified yourself in one of these matrices as strongly in one category, but not all of this needs to apply to you. So again, if you identify yourself as an expressive, all of these also might not apply to you. So communication style is very animated and excitable, can come on too strong. Informal, casual, open and warm, animated and enthusiastic, and enjoys the conversation. For an email style, they often present several topics in one email. They like to brainstorm ideas, often write emails that are disorganized and verbose, use greetings and closings like emoticons and exclamation marks, and they like to tell more than ask. Now, for me, specifically, not everything on this list applies to me, but I definitely can take a big chunk of that as me. Amiable. They're very emotionally orientated. They like to ask questions, and they can be much quieter, right? And slower paced. In their communication, sometimes they may appear to be dreamy in thought. They may seem vague or informal, but they're also very friendly and responsive, and they do enjoy the conversation as well. When it comes to their email communications, they use greetings and closings, talk as much about you as themselves. They're more laid back and easy to direct and redirect, have a glow with the flow lifestyle, and they like to put other people's needs ahead of their own. So if I had to guess, I feel like this might be Kendra Carey. I know she's on the call, even if you can't see her flu-ridden face. So again, just a high-level overview of what these are. I think that what you would be able to do is, oh, bang on. I feel that with all of this information, I think that maybe before you introduce the products to your client, or you're starting to build that relationship with them, or you just start talking to them, maybe you'll be able to figure out kind of where they fall on the spectrum, so that maybe you could be able to modify your approach to them. So for example, if I were to talk to, let's say, an analytical person, I myself probably wouldn't just dive right in and just say, Beachbody is awesome, right? Because for them, they would probably need some time to digest that information. So if I know somebody is strongly analytical, I might present them with all the information and follow up with them in a couple of days, right? So those are some tips and tricks that I've been using, and those actually have helped me become more confident and comfortable with myself and getting to know people and trying to use some of this in my day-to-day interactions. And I'm really happy that I've got my 8 points on the board so far, and hopefully I got more too. So I'm going to open it up for questions and see what people think about my brief little presentation.
Well, can I go ahead and go? Because I'm okay, so I have a question. Now, when you were talking about, it was the screen that you just had. So if we want to adapt to another style, then we would go over to their column, and let's say we would look at their communication and email, and then we would try to be more like that.
Yeah, exactly, because we can't expect everybody to accommodate us, right? Because they don't know what we are. They're probably not thinking about this at all. So in order to be more relatable to them, you might want to think about what their column is and think about maybe trying to communicate that way to them.
Okay, so then can you think of any other ways besides us just looking at their, I mean, I'm trying to think of how early in the conversation would I be able to pick up what their personality style is if it's something that I've just met, somebody that I've met on my like page?
So it could be something that you just met on your like page, and you could just ask them a simple question, right? Ask them a question and see what their response is. How quick was their response back to you? Was it super quick? Are they very responsive in that way? You can also think about things, how did they respond back to you? Were they like, hey, I'm doing great, exclamation point, right? Did they say things, let's see here, I'm trying to think, are they more task-orientated or were they people-orientated? Were they more focused on Beachbody or were they wanting to know more about you, right? So you have to think about it in that spectrum too. So even with that first initial conversation, you can start to gauge where they're at. Because if they are if you think about the ask versus tell, first of all, are they asking you lots of questions or are they telling you what they want? Then if you think about this way and this way, then you're thinking about, are they more focused on the task at hand or do they want to get to know me on a personal level, right? And try to put it in that kind of quadrant too.
That's a good point too, just to make that maybe, there are plenty of times where when I'll reach out to somebody initially, I'll have, a health related question in there, and I'll also have a personal related question in there so that they have an option to respond either way, and so there are times where maybe somebody would respond and say, tell me about themselves, but they don't respond at all about the health related question. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not interested in what we have. It just may mean that they are one of the more people-ish.
That they're able or expressive because they're more people.
Yeah. So that other stuff just may come later. So we shouldn't necessarily just mark them off of our list as they're not interested because they didn't respond to my health related question.
Right. So they might be interested still, but they might just be that type of personality where they want to get to know you. Maybe they want to have more of that social connection first before they're ready to move on to that business connection.
Yeah. Good.
Does it come full circle?
Yeah, it's good. I need to have that like in front of me.
I know you do, so that's why I said I'll post it.
Yeah. So I can have it like right at my computer, because otherwise,
Yeah, and that's like a checklist too, so you could use it. It's like you can check off people and use it again and again. It's funny, after I've done this course a few times, I just start talking to people and I'm just like, you are. You just kind of get to know people and you just kind of get to figure it out. So
yeah. Well, and I think even now, after we've had the call, it would be helpful to go back to the posts on our team page and everybody post what they are. Because for me, that would be a great thing to print out one of those sheets for every single coach that I work with. And that way I can take it to heart and actually apply some of these things as I'm messaging you guys back and forth,
absolutely. That's why I think it's important too for just messaging with just other team members or other coaches on other teams, or just in your communication style in general. It really is helpful to know where other people are at. And you know what? If other people are listening to this call, they're kind of more familiar now with what I am, what you are, and then if I know what they are, we'll kind of like meet each other in the middle somewhere. So it's because otherwise it can tend to be a little unnatural, right? Trying to be analytical over on this end and being more expressive over here it feels foreign. So for me to try to stop talking with my hands and focus more on the task, I can't do it. Like it's unnatural to people. And there are exercises that I've done before where we make people be the opposite, of try to speak in the opposite form of who they are to see how unnatural it really is. So don't feel like you have to be completely somebody different when talking to these people. Still be yourself, but try to add some of those elements of that other person in there.
Good stuff. Very, very good. That's really helpful. Everybody, anybody else want to unmute and ask any questions or comments?
Nope.
It was that good.
Yeah. Well, I just thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to talk your faces off.
Absolutely. It was great. Thank you so very much, Jackie. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording, and that way I'm anxious to get those papers in my hands. So, all right.
I post them, but I didn't want to ruin the big reveal.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, very smart.